Hello, everyone. It's Cassandra Williamson with Transgender and Diverse Veterans of America Action Group. And I just want everyone to know that, it is, what is today, Wednesday? It is Wednesday. No, Thursday. It's Thursday. I lost track of the days. So it's Thursday, and I believe it is December the 14th. And this is our 6 p.m. Eastern Time show. This is a live streaming show. Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 18 in Project 2025. And what I'm doing is just going through and doing a word search with you and showing you what I look for in the sections that are critical to things like, that include words like sex, sexuality, gender, abortion, any word like that, or woke, because they use woke a lot in here. Faith is used a lot in here. Diversity or diverse, if you look up any one of those terms, you find out, get a whole list of other things that are going on. But we're looking at Chapter 18, and this is on the Department of Labor. Okay, so with that, roll the intro. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. So we're going to be going over and talking about Chapter 18, which is the Department of Labor. So let's go do that right now. Here we are. Okay. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. And if you're not familiar with Project 2025 and how horribly damaging to this country it will be if it's implemented, but what they're basically doing is they want to trade out, a little bit of what we see as accepting of all kinds of people and trade it out for this horrendous thing that shuts them all out and doesn't even acknowledge their existence. I'm speaking of minorities in the United States, any minority, whether that's racial or ethnic or LGBT, sexual orientation, gender identity, any of those groups, anyone, any of those minorities, neurodivergent, you name it, they want to get rid of them. They don't want to. It's not so much about getting rid of. It's more like they don't want to see them. That way they can't, if they don't see them, they don't hear about them, they can pretend they don't exist. And they also don't have to study them to see what those social determinants of health, see the impact of social determinants of health on them and their lives in those minority populations. I mean, if you can't study them because you've eliminated all the words that would define them and you've gotten rid of all of that stuff across the whole of the federal enterprise and at the states and at the local level, well, then obviously they must not exist, right? There's only one population that would exist, and that leaves you with what? White Christian nationalists. Let's jump into the Department of Labor and Related Agencies, written by Jonathan Berry, or edited by Jonathan Berry. Several people probably contributed to this, and most likely did. But anyway, so what I did earlier, right before the show, or before the show, an hour or so before the show, was go through and highlight some of those words that I thought were fascinating to look for in here. Okay. Let me see, Department of Labor. Oh, wow, I didn't even catch this one. But if I look up family, let me just go look up something in here. Oh, my God. They actually take this one to the next level, folks. Okay. I'm going to look here. The heart mission statement. The heart of the conservative promise is the resolve to reclaim the role of each American worker as the protagonist in his or her own life and to restore the family as the centerpiece of American life. It still is. But here's the thing. They tell you quite a few things right there in that one statement. In that one sentence, they tell you a lot about what their thought processes are. In that section, they're telling you that, one, his or her own life. They're talking about, that's their definition. That's the biological reality. The binary biology that they believe in is this. They don't accept any other kind of definitions. They don't accept that. They think that gender and sex are synonymous words with each other. One is just a polite way of saying, gender is a polite way of saying sex. Well, that may have been the case a long time ago, but we now know better. We know better now that the two things are different. Sex is consisting of your genetic sex, like mine is XY. I know that's male, but anatomical sex, though, mine is female, and my gender is female. So there are 3 parts right there to it, right there in mine. They don't always have to be the same. And that's the thing. But anyway, so they kind of tell you what they believe there. Then they say, restore the family as the centerpiece of American life. They're not just talking about any family. They're talking about Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, and Miss Smith. That one. That one. Not families no single person families, no single parent families. No single mom or single dad in there doing those raising the children. They're not talking about that. They're not talking about, same sex or same gender families. They're not talking about those. They're also not talking about adoptive families, even though they mention that somewhere down through here, or chosen families or anything like that. I mean, they're not talking about any of those things. And then they have another definition of what the centerpiece of American life actually means. But, it's all scattered through here. All right. And then they jump right down here and say the role that labor policy plays in that promise is twofold. Give workers the support they need for rewarding, well-paying, and self-driven careers, and restore the family-supporting job as the centerpiece of the American economy. As long as their definition of family is inclusive, which is not, but that's what they want. And then they go on to say the Judeo-Christian tradition, stretching back to Genesis, has always recognized fruitful work as integral to human dignity, as service to God, neighbor, and family. I told you they were trying to blend in all this stuff and throw it in here as to Christian nationalism. This is what this is. This is theocratic, authoritarian, fascist Christian nationalism on steroids. They want to do that to the whole country, local, state, and federal levels. And Americans have long been known for their work ethic. While it's primarily cultural responsibility, we're not going to get into all that. Let's go on down. Let's find. Let me just look for the word family throughout this thing. Let's see how many times family is mentioned. You ready? 29 times. Okay, we'll just kind of look at a few. And this is actually the thing this is what it's all about. This is in the first paragraph of the mission statement to the Department of Labor and related agencies by Jonathan Berry, by the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, Mandate for Leadership, The Conservative Promise, copyright 2023. This stuff is in here, and they believe it, and they know it, and they want to push it, and they're trying their best to get this to be ingrained into the whole of the government. And if you don't believe it, just look at, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. The world's only 6,000 years old, that man. Yep. And all the dinosaurs coexisted with the people. That. Oh my God. So let's see, there's 29 times. There's 1, 2, 3, down here 4, jobs that can support a family. Let's go on down. Where's the next one? Family supporting jobs. Okay. Pro-family policies, promote pro-life workplace accommodations for mothers. Federal law should protect life and promote pro-family policies. Let's go on down. That one's one of my other topics. That's another topic. Paid family leave, family statistics. Let me see what they're doing about this one. Every month, DOL's Department of Labor Statistics surveys tens of thousands of households to generate detailed estimates of labor market conditions and price levels. And every quarter, the Department of Commerce Bureau of Economic Analysis estimates the change in the entire economy's output to the fraction of a percentage point. Yet, let me see what their yet's about. Yet, data on the state of the American family and its economic welfare are released at best annually and generally a year or more after the fact. Metrics like marriage and fertility rates, the share of children living with both biological parents, the cost of a standard basket of middle-class essentials, and the share of families whose highest income worker earns more than twice the poverty threshold should be measured and reported monthly and in real time, incorporated in releases for other labor statistics. However, they aren't going to, they will not produce a survey of any kind that has things in it to do with sexual orientation, gender identity, or single moms and single dads, anything like that. Those words are verboten. They're bad. They don't want to use those words because it just makes them feel queasy or something. Get the vapors down here in the South. Oh my God. Congress should establish an assistant commissioner for family statistics within the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Again, they're not going to collect data unless it's just the data they want to see, because, they take offense at any other definitions of family. Okay, Congress should require the Bureau to establish a pilot survey with a sample comparable to the BLS current population survey that would publish monthly estimates for measures of the American family's well-being and appropriate sufficient funds for that purpose. Okay, this is a good idea. Congress should require that Consumer Price Index market basket include measurable family essential goods. Now, what's essential for one family may not necessarily be essential for another in every case. Anyway, that's what they want to do. Family statistics, we're looking at that. American families' well-being, we just looked at that one. Families' essential goods, family statistics. Making family-sustaining work accessible, family circumstances such as they're caring for a child or a family member. And obviously, I'm telling you, they don't include the definition of a family that you would like to think. We're going on down. Okay, so let's go back up to the top of this document, and we'll go scrolling down through here for the words I looked for earlier. And these are just as important, folks, just as important. There we go. That's the one we just read. Okay, the first one, needed reforms. Here we go. If you're a minority in this country, they don't want to see you. They don't want to count you. They don't want to count the impact of not having the sufficient access to labor that the other groups have. So they want to reverse the DEI revolution in labor policy. Diversity, equity, inclusion. If you're a diverse individual who doesn't represent, that white Christian nationalist view, they just would rather shove you back into the closet and under the floorboards. Under the Obama-Biden administration's labor policy was yet another target of the diversity, equity, inclusion revolution. Under this managerialist, left-wing race and gender ideology, every aspect of labor policy became a vehicle with which to advance race, sex, and other classifications and discriminate against conservative and religious viewpoints on these subjects and others, including pro-life views. The next administration should eliminate every one of those wrongful and burdensome ideological projects. I don't know about you, but do you feel like you're an ideology? No, me either. I'm not an ideology, and you're not going to freaking erase us just because you feel a funny way about us. Getting those vapors again. Jeez. Eliminate racial classifications and critical race theory trainings. The Biden administration has pushed racial equity in every area of our national life, including in employment, and has condoned the use of racial classifications and racial preferences under the guise of DE&I and critical race theory, which categorizes individuals as oppressors and victims based on race. Non-discrimination and equality under the law, DE&I is not. It is. It makes you feel funny. It makes you confront your own bigotry. Yeah. Title VII flatly prohibits discrimination in employment on the basis of race, color, and national origin. The president should issue an executive order banning, and Congress should pass a law prohibiting the federal government from using taxpayer dollars to fund all critical race theory training, CRT training. The president should direct DOJ, the Department of Justice, and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to enforce Title VII. The president should direct the Department of Justice and Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to enforce Title VII to prohibit racial classifications and quotas, including human resources classifications, D&I trainings that promote critical race theory. Next point, the president should eliminate EEO-1 data collection. This is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission collects EEO-1 data on employment statistics based on race and ethnicity, which data can then be used to support a charge of discrimination under a disparate impact theory. You have to look it up. I did. Disparate impact theory is a theory out there in law. It's a theory of law. This could lead to racial quotas to remedy alleged race discrimination. The Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs, OFCCP, also has a right to the data EEOC collects. Crudely categorizing employees by race or ethnicity fails to recognize the diversity of the American workforce and forces individuals into categories that do not fully reflect their racial or ethnic heritage. In other words, if you're Black African, if you're Black American, or if you're a Pacific Islander, or, Latino, anything like that, any other ethnic or racial grouping, they don't want to know how many of you there are. They don't want to know so that you can't use that against them for discrimination purposes. Right. Amend Title VII. The next administration should work with Congress to amend Title VII to prohibit the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission from collecting EEO-1 data and any other racial classifications in employment for both private and public workplaces. Talk about turning the world of science upside down, because, they don't care about the science anyway. They never have. It's all just about Christian nationalism. There's a disparate impact theory thing again, right there. Okay. With interracial marriages in America increasing, many Americans do not fit neatly into crude racial categories. Under disparate impact theory, moreover, discriminatory motive or intent is irrelevant. The outcome is what matters. But all workplaces have disparities. Oh, really? Really? Oh my God. Okay, let's go on down. Okay, employers. Let me see. In addition, under Executive Order 11246, the President and Department of Labor can force a huge swath of American employers to comply with rules and regulations based on novel anti-discrimination theories, such as sexual orientation and gender identity theories. We're not a theory that Congress have never imposed by statute. And to hell with Congress. We're not a theory. We're not an idea. We're not an ideology. What the hell's wrong with these people? So the president should eliminate OFCCP by simply rescinding Executive Order 11246. I should have highlighted that one. Okay. These people are out to get us. I hope you know that. And I'm not being hyperbolic either. This is the stuff that they are saying. They put it in print. They published it. They sold a $35 book with this stuff in it. And the conservative candidates for president have signed on to it already. Yeah. Sex discrimination. Okay, here we go. The Biden administration, LGBT advocates, and some federal courts have attempted to expand the scope and definition of sex discrimination, based in part on the Supreme Court's decision in Bostock v. Clayton County. Bostock held that an employer who fires someone simply for being homosexual or transgender violates Title VII's prohibition against sex discrimination. The court explicitly limited its holding in the hiring and firing context in Title VII and did not purport to address other Title VII issues, such as bathrooms, locker rooms, and dress codes, or other laws prohibiting sex discrimination. Notably, the court focused on the status of the employees and used the term transgender status rather than the broader and amorphous term gender identity. Restrict the application of Bostock. The new administration should restrict Bostock's application of sex discrimination protections to sexual orientation and transgender status in the context of hiring and firing. Withdraw unlawful notices and guidances. The president should direct agencies to withdraw unlawful notices and guidances purporting to apply Bostock's reasoning broadly outside hiring and firing. And that's one of those common tactics that's used in law and in the courts throughout the nation, from local to state to federal levels, to see if you can take one particular ruling and see if you can expand it a little bit, and then get it to go back up to the Supreme Court for an additional ruling. Oh my God. Rescind regulations prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity, transgender status, and sex characteristics. If that doesn't make you mad, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here to be upset about, folks. The president should direct agencies to rescind regulations interpreting sex discrimination provisions as prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, transgender status, and sex characteristics, etc. So they want to discriminate. They want to discriminate. And they want to do it and have the law back them up. Direct agencies to refocus enforcement of sex discrimination laws. The president should direct agencies to focus their enforcement of sex discrimination laws on the biological binary meaning of sex. Right, exactly. Right there in yellow, right now, for you to read, they tell you what they want it to do so that they can discriminate against everyone else they don't like. Again, they're getting the vapors and feeling some kind of queasy way, because there are transgender kids in the country. Yep. Okay. Religion. Provide robust protections for religious employers. America's religious diversity means that workplaces include people of many faiths and that many employers are faith-based. Nevertheless, the Biden administration has been hostile to people of faith, especially those with traditional beliefs about marriage, gender, and sexuality. The new administration should enact policies with robust respect for religious exercise in the workplace, including under the First Amendment, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993. If your religion allows you to discriminate against someone because they don't look like, act like, believe like, think like you, then your religion is screwed up. Issue an executive order protecting religious employers and employees. Okay, let's go on down and find another one. Provide robust accommodations for religious employees. Title VII requires reasonable accommodations for an employee's sincerely held religious beliefs, observances, or practices unless it poses an undue hardship on the employer's business. These accommodation protections also apply to issues relating to marriage, gender, and sexuality. Now, look, they throw the word gender in there because they use it in the context of being a polite way to say sex. Let's go on down. Refocusing labor regulation on the good of the family. The DE&I revolution in labor affected not only the administrative state, but it has also targeted much of the private sector. Owing to the combination of regulatory pressure and eager human resources offices in the private sector, much of American labor and employment policy has become institutionally oriented toward woke goals. Retracting regulations that support this revolution is a good first step, but more is needed. We must replace woke nonsense with a healthy vision of the role of labor policy in our society, starting with the American family. They've got different definitions of society. They have different definitions of what it means to be American and different definitions of what a family is. And that woke nonsense, well, I'd much rather be enlightened than disenlightened or blind, ignorant, and stupid. This stuff is horrible. And really, I mean, it really is. And I haven't even made it down a quarter of the way through this the Department of Labor section. Scrolling down, I know that there's quite a few places in here where, we've talked about all kinds of stuff. Let's see. Go on down. We're looking for highlighted sections. May or may not be in here. Let's take a look. Let's go see. Da-da-da-da-da. Bear with me as I scroll happily down the page. Here we go. Wow, there's not much down through here, is there? Here we go. Worker Retirement Savings, ESG, which is employment, or let me see, environmental, social, and governance investing. This relatively recent strategy promoted by large asset managers focuses not only on a company's bottom line, but also on the company's compliance with liberal political views on climate change, racial quotas, abortion, and other issues. The ESG movement has focused especially on reducing greenhouse gas emissions. For example, ESG proponents advocate for divestment from oil and gas companies or the exercise of investor influence to reduce oil and gas production. ESG considerations unrelated to investor risk and returns necessarily sacrifice trust law's traditional sole focus on investment returns for collateral interests. And while individual investors may, and in other words, what they're saying is they're going to try to cut these things out. And under what conditions fiduciaries should be permitted to follow this path as well, because ESG investing necessarily puts other considerations before the interest of the beneficiary. ESG investing by plan managers is an inappropriate strategy under this ERISA. Okay, let's look at it later. DOL should prohibit investing in ERISA plans on the basis of any factors that are unrelated to investor risk and return. DOL should return to the Trump administration's approach of permitting only the consideration of pecuniary factors in ERISA. However, this approach should not preclude the consideration of legitimate non-ESG factors such as corporate governance, supply chain investment in America, or family supporting jobs. Oh, wait. So you're putting your ideologies in here, but, America is defined your way, families defined your way. Oh, well. Yep. Dead serious, folks. They are serious. You don't believe it? Better take it. If you can take it to the bank, they're going to work on getting all this accomplished. They were able to get like 67% of it, about 2/3 of the first mandate for leadership accomplished back when Reagan took over on January the 20th of 1981. And they were able to get, like 2/3 of that first one. That was their very first one accomplished. And it was not as thoroughly thought out and organized and detailed as this. Okay. This thing makes that one look like kindergarten's play. Okay. So, that's it for the Department of Labor. Let's go back up to the top. Here we go. Scrolling through. Click. Okay. Department of Labor and related agencies. Jonathan Berry, Chapter 18. Let me just stop sharing and go over and see if there are any comments we need to address. And drop this down over to here. No, got one person watching, but no comments. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. I come back tomorrow at noon Eastern, 11 Central, and we'll talk some more. And then tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. on a Friday, I'm going to have some conversations around more of this stuff. Plus, I talk about our Go Transport program that's over on our C3 TDVA side to help veterans get to and from their appointments at VA. Without any cost to them. And, it's a program that's worked through Uber Health. And we're going to have somebody come on and from that side of our organization and talk about that for you. All right. With that, let's call it a day, folks. Have a good one.